The original poem of the song includes a line that's not in the lyrics that says, "Even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times." And in our service today, we're going to be talking about our family histories, our stories of our ancestors, both the good and the bad, both those that worked for justice and those who stood in its way. And so I think this song inviting us all, no matter the mistakes we've made, no matter the places we've been off the mark, to recommit to the work of love, to recommit to community, is a beautiful place to begin. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. One more time. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come yet again, come. Come yet again, come.
Thank you, Matt, for that. And good evening, everyone. I'm Mark David, the music director of Sanctuary Boston. Grateful to be with Julie Metcalf once again, who's going to play some viola and violin and sing for us tonight as well. And we're going to share a song I love, Beautiful Dawn, by the Waylon Jennys. There's a funny refrain, maybe funny is not the right word, but each verse ends with this line, "There's only one way to mend a broken heart." And the reason I say it's funny is because the song is almost a list of potential remedies for our broken hearts. And obviously it's not just talking about romantic love. There's a lot of feelings of brokenheartedness about the world. And many things going on right now. And yeah, I just hope that some of these things, the words in this song, can be have healing feelings for us. And I hope you'll sing along. 1, 2, 3. I forgot that. Sorry, I have to retune one string if I have to do that. Played a different tuning for the prelude. Alright, let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take me to the breaking of a beautiful dawn. Take me to the place where we came from. Take me to the end so I can see the start. There's only one way to mend a broken place where I don't feel so small. Take me where I don't need to stand so tall. Take me to the edge so I can fall apart. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me where love isn't up for sale. Take me where our hearts are not so frail. Take me where the fire still owns its spark. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Teach me how to see when I close my eyes. Teach me to forgive and to apologize. Show me how to love in the darkest dark. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me where the angels are close on hand. Take me where the ocean meets the sky and the land. Show me to the wisdom of the evening star. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me to the place where I feel no shame. Take me where the courage doesn't need a name. Learning how to cry is the hardest part. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me where the place where I don't feel so small. Take me where I don't need to stand so tall. Take me to the edge so I can fall apart. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me to the breaking of a beautiful dawn. Take me to the place where we came from. Take me to the end so I can see the start. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mark, David, and Julie, for that beautiful tune. Now I'd like to invite you all to take this moment to join me in lighting a chalice, if you have one, or if not. I don't have a chalice, so I'm going to light a candle. And this candle symbolizes the light that is within us and around us. And may this evening enlighten us, enlighten our hearts and our souls, and kindle the inner light within us. It is that time and that place. By Kiyama Rahman. Now is the time to call on the memories and the ancestors who thought they could not walk the other step toward freedom, and yet they did. It is that time and place to call on the memories of the ancestors who, when the darkness of their lives threatened to take away the hope and light, reached a little deeper and prayed yet another prayer. It is that time and place to remember those who came through a long night to witness another sunrise. It is that time and place to remember the oceans of tears shed to deliver us from this time, to deliver us to this time, to remember the bent knees and bowed backs, to remember the fervent voices asking, begging, and beseeching for loved ones sold off. Time to remember their laughter and joy, though they had far less and little reason for optimism, yet they stayed on the path toward a better day. It is that time and that place. For that, let us be eternally grateful. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Kim, for that moment of centering and that chalice lighting. So as I said, my name is Matt Meyer, and I'm the Director of Community Life for Sanctuary Boston. Sanctuary is a community of vibrant worship and real connection grounded in Unitarian Universalism and open to seekers of all kinds. This is a place where we believe that how we live in this life is more important than creeds that we may hold about what comes next. How we treat each other, how we create communities of love and justice is what matters most. And so we invite you into this community for this evening at least. If you want to stay connected with us, we're going to be sharing our Facebook page and the email sign up in the chat box. We invite you to do that so you can hear about other worship gatherings coming up and other ways to connect with us, including small groups and other events. A few logistics for this evening. We are recording this service, so if you would prefer not to have your image shared online on our YouTube channel, then you can always turn off your camera. But if you're comfortable, we invite you to leave your camera on so we can see your beautiful faces. That's a big part of why we gather together in this way. You can continue to share where you're joining us from in the chat box so we can get a sense of the geographic diversity that folks are connecting across. And we recommend that you keep your video in gallery view so you can see as many people in the community as possible. You know, we're inviting you, even though you're muted, to sing along to all the songs, and I love to see everyone singing along in our little windows here, joining together, even if we can't all be heard at the same time for now, at least. To help you sing along and follow the service, we're also sharing the order of service and all of the lyrics in a separate document, which you're welcome to follow along on if you'd like. And we invite you, as always, to just come as you are, particularly now when we're so far apart and so many of us are at home. Come in your pajamas or in your best clothes, sing along, get some food if that's what's comfortable for you. Participate in whatever way most invites the Spirit for you. At the end of our time together, we're going to have just 15 minutes of social time, inviting people into smaller breakout groups to check in a little bit for those of you that do want to stick around, although it's not required. And I do want to give a special shout out to the UU Faith Lab. If you all joining us, our youth leaders from across the country are here. Can you give us just like a little wave so we can see you? It's so good to have you youth leaders with us. You are the future of this faith and you are the present of it particularly. So thank you for all of the good leadership and ministry that you are already doing. And thank you for being with us this evening. It's a joy to have you. I'm going to invite you all to join in the words of welcome, and I'll invite Pam and Eric and Jesse to read them together.
Whether you go to church on Sunday mornings,
light candles on Friday nights,
whether you've been hurt by religion,
saved by it,
or some of both,
whether you're brand new to spiritual community,
or a seasoned seeker,
whoever you are, whatever you are,
wherever you are on your journey,
we
welcome you.
Thank you all for welcoming us all into this space. I'm Lucas, and this is Joe, and we're going to sing We Are, which was written by Issei Barnwell. before we start singing, wanted to just say a couple of pieces. One is that this is a song that uses binary language, and Issei Barnwell has made some requests throughout before that we not change the words when printing and when singing this song. And so we're going to sing the song as originally written. However, this song has a whole lot of different identities, and we all bring so many identities into this space. And so I invite you, wherever you are, to sing whatever words make you feel most welcome, and make you feel most whole, and make you feel most participating. So if it says daughters and you want to say children, if it says sons and you want to say children, if it says brothers and you want to say siblings, please do that. And we will be singing the words as Issei Barnwell wrote them.
And it starts out, there's a lot of number of different sections to this. We'll start out with a part that repeats, so feel free to join in as you catch on.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayer, and we are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayer, and we are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of light and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayer, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of light and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
It was beautiful. It's always great to listen to that music, and
Yeah.
we're all enjoying it over here. After a recent health scare, my grandfather's been living with our family for the last 2 months. Now, we've always been a close-knit family, but with our new physical closeness and our pandemic era distancing from others, and also our more intimate understanding of how fragile life can be, I've been a lot closer to Papa these days. And a lot of the stories that he's brought back from the old country are feeling a lot closer to the surface too. One such story took place on a cloudy Sunday morning more than 100 years ago in the Western Irish village of Uncaharrow in County Galway. A local man named Fenton suddenly found himself sprawling on his back in the green grass of the churchyard. His neck was pinned to the ground between the two sharp tines of a hayfork. Fenton was a debt collector for the British, and earlier in the week, he had served a local family what turned out to be his last eviction notice. You see, in those days, eviction, carried out when a family couldn't contribute their share of crops to their usually absentee English landlord, would mean that the family's one-room cottage would be burned to the ground, and they would be forced into the street with no regard for the coming winter. This practice of social control had kept Ireland in line since the 1600s. But by the early 20th century, the colonial system was cracking. The 1916 Easter Rising set Dublin on fire for days and shattered the notion of a peaceful and permanent union of Great Britain and Ireland. The executions of the leaders and participants of the Rising consolidated something long brewing across the island. And the villagers of Uncaharrow would comply no more with injustice in their midst. And on that Sunday after Mass, with the hayfork pressed up against Fenton's throat, the villagers made him swear that he would never evict one of their neighbors from their land again. This story is one you may not find in a world history book, but it's in a class of stories told at the kitchen table for decades in the Costello household. The story has imprinted successive generations with the memory of suffering and justice in a deeply personal way. I'm related to Fenton, held down with a pitchfork in front of the village church, and I'm related to the man at the other end of the pitchfork that held him there. And not in some broad 7th UU principle, we're all interconnected sense. My grandfather's mother was Margaret Fenton, the taxman's daughter. And one of the men holding the pitchfork was Tom Costello, my grandfather's father's father. Some of us have inherited a lineage of survival and resistance. Some have inherited privilege and unearned advantage. Some of us hold complicated histories with a little of both. For me, both of these lineages met at the same time, in the same place, at opposite ends of a pitchfork. And here I stand, 100 years removed and an ocean away from that pitchfork in that churchyard. But I'm still one person in an ongoing and unachieved struggle for justice. As the Irish people moved to pursue their own destiny and correct a long history of injustice, much was required to dismantle the old system. They worked for the redistribution of land, investment in education, creating an accountable government, preserving culture instead of suppressing it. And this reimagining required each person to keep alive that spirit of struggle that runs through all Irish pub songs. A particular ballad called The Foggy Dew recounts the way that the story of the Easter Rising of the Irish youth fighting for their own future, rather than with the English on a faraway World War I battlefield. 'Twas better to die 'neath an Irish sky than in Suva or Sorel Bar. Meaning, it was better to stay at home fighting the British than to be sent off to foreign lands to die on behalf of the British Empire. The songs and struggles were for a freedom much larger than any one person. Now, this new reality of an independent Ireland was still in its infancy in Catharo in 1957, when my grandfather decided to emigrate to the United States. In the 63 years since he arrived at his uncle's house in Boston, Papa has experienced his share of this country's blessings, but he still sees America through the lens of his own country's hard-fought quest for freedom. The success our family found in America wasn't an accident. Between 1945 and 1960, over 500,000 people would make Papa's same trip out of Ireland to the US or to England, finding systems of power not unlike the one they were trying to leave behind. And in a time right now that calls us to re-examine so much of our own narratives, our family has been talking a lot about how we pass the spirit of freedom down to the next generation, and also how to reckon with ourselves in a place where we are no longer the oppressed, and not always certain what side of the pitchfork we'd be on. In their early years in this country, Nana and Papa struggled for stability. They worked difficult jobs 7 days a week for low pay, but they also found benefits here, including a low-interest federal mortgage on a house in Brighton. And in the peak of the era of redlining, this was one of many programs that were available to white immigrants, but not to African-American citizens. As a recent immigrant, Papa joined with crews doing some of the most backbreaking construction labor. And in this country, many of his first friends were his Black coworkers. He witnessed how they always got the worst work assignments, and how, as soon as the economy started going south, his friends, without fail, would be ruthlessly laid off, and how he would always be next. Around the dinner table in Brighton, he railed against the newfound and newly realized racism that he saw in the Americans. That despite the myth of American liberty that had been exported to Ireland in the package of the American dream, the injustice he witnessed looked awfully similar to the British rule back at home in Catharo. He recognized the way that people in power could cruelly and arbitrarily cut off a family's future. But all the same, unavoidably, my grandparents were raising white American children. The family's whiteness allowed them to purchase that home in Brighton, a toehold, even if tenuous, to economic stability. They were the beneficiaries of what Reverend Adam Dyer described here in Sanctuary several weeks ago, America as a project of race, one that allows some to achieve stable lives in exchange for maintaining a system of social control. Now, as Papa's been living with us in these recent weeks and months, we've been tracing and retracing the roots of our family's journey through maps, songs, and old photos. He reminds me that the memory of struggle and suffering are more important now than ever. As I retell these stories, I remember that past experience of injustice, whether our ancestors were perpetuating that injustice or whether they were fighting against it, calls us to face the injustice we see today, to keep alive the fighting songs, to remember those who fought with pen, rifle, or pitchfork in hand, and understand what we are really fighting and singing for. When I think of Tom Costello holding the pitchfork to the tax collector's neck, I'm reminded of the ways that we need to stand with our neighbors even when we aren't the ones facing eviction. And when I think of the ways that our family, past and present, have traded complicity in systemic oppression for some amount of personal stability and advancement, I'm reminded of the lengths my ancestors had to go, not only for freedom in Catharo and for Ireland, but to grow a better world out of that injustice. Whether our families were immigrants or were brought here against their will, Whether they are indigenous or newcomers, we inherit their complicated stories of struggle. Some of us have inherited a lineage of survival and resistance. Some have inherited privilege and unearned advantage. And some of us hold complicated histories with both. Looking back, we can see how their lives were bound up in the movements and historical moments of their time. Theirs are stories of the individual bound up in the collective, and the collective shaping the individual for better or for worse. May they remind us that we are bound up together, that we are moved by the movements around us, and that we shape the larger narratives that we are a part of now.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing that message. Julie found the next song that we're about to sing. It's by a Scottish songwriter, Dick Gowan, and it's a song that honors the people that came before us, and that their struggle hopefully taught us ideals that we can carry forth. So it's that, and also as I sing these words about how they hopefully pass things on to us, it makes me think about what ideals and struggles we will hopefully pass on to our families, and what stories will they tell as we live our lives and share our struggles with the world. They wouldn't hear your music, and they pulled your paintings down. They wouldn't hear your writing, and they banned you from the town. But they couldn't stop you dreaming, and a victory you did win. For you sowed the seeds of freedom in your children and your kin. In your children and your kin. Your children and your kin. You sowed the seeds of freedom in your children and your kin. Let's all try that together. They wouldn't hear the music, and they pulled your paintings down. They wouldn't hear your writing, and they banned you from the town. But they couldn't stop your dreaming, and a victory you did win. For you sowed the seeds of freedom in your children and your kin. In your children and your kin. Your children and your kin. You sow the seeds of freedom in your children and your kin. Your weary smile that proudly hides the chain marks on your hands, as you bravely strive to realize the rights of everyone. And though your body's bent and low, a victory you did win. For you sowed the seeds of justice in your children and your kin. In your children and your kin. Your children and your kin. You sowed the seeds of justice in your children and your kin. Now I don't know your religion, but one day I heard you pray for a world where everyone can work and children they can play. And though you never got your share of the fruits that you did win, you sowed the seeds of equality in your children and your kin, in your children and your kin, your children and your kin. You sowed the seeds of equality in your children and your kin. They taunted you in Belfast, and they tortured you in Spain, and in that Warsaw ghetto where they tied you up in chains, in Vietnam and Chile where they came with tanks and guns. It's there you sowed the seeds of peace in your children and your kin, in your children and your kin, your children and your kin. 'Cause there you sowed the seeds of peace in your children and your kin. And now your music's playing and the writing's on the wall, and all the dreams you painted can be seen by one and all. Now you've got them thinking, and the future can begin. For you sowed the seeds of freedom in your children and your kin, in your children and your kin, your children and your kin. You sowed the seeds of freedom in your children and your kin.
Good evening. Every service, Sanctuary Boston collects an offering to sustain our spiritual community and to support the community at large through a selected local community organization. My name is Abby, and I work as an attorney for a nonprofit organization that provides free legal assistance to our most vulnerable members of our community, including survivors of domestic violence and immigrants seeking relief inside the United States due to asylum or victimization outside the United States, or things that have occurred inside the United States. I'm grateful to share with you tonight the organization that Sanctuary Boston has chosen for tonight's offering. The Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition, known as MIRA, its vision is a commonwealth and nation where all can thrive and fully participate in their community's social, economic, and civil life. MIRA estimates Massachusetts' immigrant and refugee population at about 1.2 million individuals, with 1 out of every 5 workers born outside the United States. MIRA plays a critical role in our organization, in our community, by providing advocacy, education, and leadership, and working on a variety of initiatives, including DACA renewals for Dreamers, public charge education, and working on the Safe Communities Act. I ask that you reflect on tonight's theme and our mission to support and recognize all individuals to be fully seen and realized in our community, as we work together to keep all people in our community safe and fully realized. Thank you for your contribution.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie. Michael's reflection really made me think a lot about my family, and my relatives also came from Ireland here. I just want to share a sentence from a letter that a cousin wrote to my mother. A cousin in Ireland wrote, she said, "I am sure that you, like myself, simply marvel at the bravery of the steps our ancestors took in search of a better life, and remain in awe of how they coped with the sacrifice, which for many meant never seeing their loved ones again." Yeah, kind of gets you. I'm going to play for you an air, which is a slow tune, and this is called the Lament for Limerick. In an air it's a slow tune, and it's kind of based on the Sean Nose style of singing, which is like a free style of solo singing. And in that tradition, in some areas there's a beautiful practice of joining hands with the solo singer and doing like a winding movement with the hands joined. And that it anchors the singer, but it also connects us. So you're invited to do that, if you wish, with your body, with your breath, or however you like. And I'm also going to play a couple lovely jigs for you. So here you are.
There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Worship is a time to imagine backwards behind us to the long line of ancestors that brought us to where we are. It's a time to imagine forward to the long line of generations ahead of us, to whom we owe the work of justice. It's also a time to connect with each other side by side, even when we're far away. We recognize that we come together, bringing all kinds of joys and all kinds of sorrows, living in complicated times. And so we invite you now to take a moment and share any sorrows in the chat box. We'll come back together in a few moments for joys, but for now we invite you to share in the chat box any sorrows that are weighing on your heart this evening as we gather together.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Even in the most difficult times, the most complicated times, we recognize that we still might find deep gratitude for the small joys of our living day to day and night to night. We invite you now to share any of those joys in the chat box as well.
love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
I invite you to join me in a time of reflection, a time of prayer. Spirit of life, be with us as we are with each other this evening. We gather bringing all our complicated joys and our complicated sorrows, sometimes immersed in one or the other, sometimes wrapped up in both, and so many others all at the same time. Spirit of connection, be with us when we are struggling with distance, when we are too far away from family and friends, particularly in their time of need or our time of need. Spirit of life, be with us as we are grieving the loss of endings, the endings of relationships, the passing of those most beloved to us. Spirit of healing, be with us when we are struggling so fiercely with health, with these beautiful but too fragile bodies, struggling with melanoma and cancer and asthma and COVID. The list goes on. The list is too long. Spirit, we are a grieving people, a people too far distant, a people struggling with too much loss. Be with us in the spirit of healing, in the spirit of connection, in the spirit of life. And be with us also as we are with each other, lifting up the joys we bring as well. The joys of new beginnings, of new homes, of new connections, new plants, new relationships, new time outdoors when we have been inside too much, new connections across the divides. Spirit of life, be with us as we are with each other in all of the joys and in all of the sorrows. May it be so. Amen.
Make us aware, our sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware, our sanctuary, each made holy, loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew.
Our lives are bound up in the movements and historical moments of our time. Ours are the stories of the individual bound up in the collective shaping us, and we shaping the larger narrative. May they remind us that we are all bound up together. And go and take this blessing as you give your blessing to others. Go Goromahad. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Michael. My name's Alex. For our closing song today, we are going to do a song called I'm Willing. And I hope you will sing along, dance, harmonize, all the things. Let's do it. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would be so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Let's try that all together. There is hurting in our family. There is sorrow in my town. There is panic in the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the words of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. Oh, I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Give me your mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. 'Cause I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who come before us, so lift me up to the light of change. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. So lift me up to the light of change. So lift me up to the light of change.
So well done, Alex. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Michael, also for sharing your message, and Papa for sharing your blessing as well. I just wanted to share a few last announcements before we go on to our breakout groups. First of all, please stay connected with us. You can follow us on Facebook and sign up for our email list to find out about future worship gatherings and other events and small groups that we're doing. We're sharing those in the chat box now. Now, Sanctuary meets for worship every first and third Wednesday all year round now. We've expanded our worship offerings a lot in the last few years, and we are now a year-round community. So mark your calendar for every first and third Wednesday from here on out. And also for a number of times throughout the year, we're going to do fifth Wednesday services as well. But this July, there is a fifth Wednesday. It's not going to be a worship, but Alex Pham, who just did our closing song, is going to be hosting an open mic and song share. So please join us for that, 6:30 on July 29th, the fifth Wednesday of this month, for an open mic and song share. We're also going to share the link to that. It's there in the chat box. So RSVP, invite someone, practice a song, and come share it with us. And lastly, if you have been attending Sanctuary for a little while and you're planning to continue attending for a little while at least, we invite you to get more involved, to share your vision for Sanctuary, and to consider supporting our community with your time, talent, and treasure. And to do that, you can fill out the Sanctuary survey. That's one of the key ways that our community members figure out how we can share our gifts with each other and grow this community wider and also go deeper with each other. So thank you for all the ways you connect with us, whether it's just dropping in for an occasional service online here or whether you're taking on leadership in other ways. And now we're going to take just another couple minutes of music before we head to the breakout rooms, where we'll have 15 minutes in smaller groups. Once we go to those breakout rooms, we will invite you to share with each other roses and thorns as a check-in question. That's a way of asking what's something that's beautiful or blossoming in your life, and what's one thing that you're wrestling with this week. And we'll invite you to invite everyone in the group to share. So if you'd like to head off, you can go ahead and do that now. And if you stick around for another minute or two of music, we'll head to our breakout groups.